This PHP tutorial is going to cover functions within PHP. I'm going to tell you why functions are and probably should be used a lot of the time, and then we're going to declare some functions and call them. By declare I mean create the function, and by call I mean basically run it. So say, I want this function to run. Now a function is used purely to speed up coding time somewhat, but I mean it's a cleaner way to code. For example, if you wanted to process say some kind of sum over and over again in your program, say 3 or 4 or 5 plus times down your program, you're not going to want to code this every time. You might want to create a function that allows you to maybe do this in one line. So we could have, say, several lines of code that could be executed in one line, but with different arguments passed into it. So to start creating a function, we used this syntax. It's function and the function name after this. So for example, name. Now this function at the moment doesn't have any arguments. Arguments will be here. This is what's passed into the function to allow the variables to be used within the function. So at the moment I'm just going to create a simple function called name. Inside this, what is this function going to do? It's just going to output my name. So that's all it's going to do. Now if we refresh the page, you'll see that nothing happens, and the reason for this is we've declared the function and everything inside it, however we haven't called it. So to call the function, all we basically do is just call the function name with the brackets and our semicolon as well. So that will call the function name, and it will execute simply without passing any arguments what's inside the block. So if we refresh, you can see that the name there is executed. So now what if I want to take this name function, but I want to put a specific name in here that's going to be executed? So I'm going to choose this as Billy. Now we need to take an argument in here, and to take an argument all we do is we create it as a variable. We don't need to declare what type of variable it is, we just need to create a variable, and now all we do is echo name. It's as simple as that. So the process of this is we've called this function, we've passed this argument through to the function, so it's string data, it's picked up here, and then it's output here. Now this isn't the ideal way to perhaps do things, I'll show you why in a minute, but I'll run the code anyway and show you how it works. So Billy. So we could in fact here say my name is, and then the name, concatenated on with the full stop. So let's refresh this, and you can see that it does that. The same as if we were to come down and change this to Dale. We refresh and that changes. So it's an easier way of doing this. Now we're actually, at the moment we're echoing this out. In fact, I might just want to return this, and this whole part here after this return word here is it's called the return value of the function. Now at the moment, let's refresh and see what happens. Absolutely nothing. Now as it stands, this is equal to the return value, so this is the same as this. However, we're not doing anything with this string. We could say let's say return, we could say return value equals this. So the return value equals name Dale, so we're just putting the result of this function into a variable. So now well, we can refresh the page and nothing will happen again. So now we want to do something with this, so we can say return value, so echo return value, and now you can see we're echoing out my name is Dale. So I mean we could even just cut out everything and say echo the function name with the argument in. So refresh, the same thing will come out. We can then again change this and it will update. So this is a few ways that you can use functions and how you can use return values. I mean, we can also even add in a second argument. So I could say age, and then on here all I do is and my age is concatenate on age. Now as it stands, we're going to return an error. The reason why is we're only specifying one argument here, but we've defined two arguments. So let's refresh and see what happens. Okay, so missing argument 2 for name, called in, and then it gives us the line where it's called, and then it gives us the line where the function is defined. So it's defined on line 3, you can see down the bottom just here. It's called on line 7, so we know where the function's called and defined. The function takes 2 arguments, but we've only supplied it with 1. So all we do now is supply it with another one. Like I said, we haven't specified our data type, so I'm just going to write 21. It can be string data if you like, but I'm supplying it with integer. So now let's refresh, and it says my name is Alex and my age is 21. Again, this can be changed, so Billy and 16, and we refresh, and you can see that them two have been updated. So that is the basics of functions. I mean, if I was to say get rid of this altogether, and I create a new function called add, this shows a use for it. I'm going to have num1 and num2. So we're taking in 2 arguments, and what we're doing is we're returning num1 add num2. Make sure we remember the $sign on there. So we're returning num1 add num2. In a lot of functions you might see, let's say result equals that, and then return result. So it doesn't matter how we specify it, that's just how it's going to work. So now I'm going to call add. I'm going to echo out add first of all, and I'm going to say 10 add 30. Okay, and that's going to give us a result of 40. So we feed in these 2 arguments. 10 corresponds to num1 up here, and 30 corresponds to num2. So we're creating a new variable called result, and that corresponds to num1, which is 10. Add, remember our mathematical operator, and or arithmetic operator, and num2 corresponds to 30. So result is going to equal 40, which is the result of this operation, and then we're returning the value of result. So we're returning the value 40. Therefore, we're echoing out the value of 40. That's basically how it's going to flow. So if we refresh, we get the value 40. Now we can mess around with these numbers and change these numbers. So 1000 add 10 would be 1010. So this is basically how functions work, and you can see that by using them you're adding a lot more of an easy flow to your program, and you're cutting out a lot of code and potentially speeding up your scripts.